Will you escape from Monsterland? Monsterland is a board game with cards and dice for ages 8 and up. This instructional video is aimed at helping you survive in Monsterland. Good luck! Each player entering Monsterland is provided with a token human who leads the army. Our tour will be led by Benny with his trusty steed Cresty. Upon entering Monsterland, each player is supplied with a starter army of 6 monsters. Each player's movements are propelled by a roll of the die. Also, each player has the option to refuse the die and can surrender a monster of rank 1 or 2 and move forward that number of squares instead. Presently, Benny rolls a red on the die and enters Monsterland by advancing to a square of that color. This takes him into the realm of tentacles and the domain of the Minister of Tentacles. Minister has 2 attacks but commands only those of the Tentacles clan. Cards are turned until the first 2 tentacles have been revealed. These attack from battle positions and are answered by monsters from Benny's army. If ever there are not enough monsters to answer all of the attacks, the player perishes and is removed from the game. In each battle pair, the monster of lower rank is given the benefit of a roll of the die, which can be a 2 or 3 times multiplier. Or +5 is added to each member of the clan shown by the die. Here, with the +5 addition to Teeth Clan, Littleface defeats Flat Squid, which is added to Benny's army. Once in each battle, it may be possible for the player to force a tie by playing a monster of equal rank. Here, a minister must now turn cards until another member of Tentacles is played. Here, Quadruped is answered by Ruth of Benny's army. Quadruped receives a ×2 multiplier, which is not enough to defeat Ruth. Quadruped and Boo are both received into Benny's army. Forcing a tie can be an effective strategy to gain more monsters. Benny rolls a 3, which takes him to the Digital Monster Factory, where monsters are created. In the factory, a card is turned and that indicated number of total cards then dealt. The die is then rolled and player gets to keep the best 2 or 3 or monsters of whatever clan is shown by the die. Here 8 cards are dealt and the die allows all Teeth Clan monsters to join Benny's army. By luck, this includes Jawsy, the Ace of Teeth. Benny then rolls a blue, which takes him into the domain of Trilo, the giant trilobite. Trilo has 3 attacks, but is not aligned with any color or clan. So the top 3 cards turned battle for Trilo. The battle pairs take place as described before, with the lower rank rolling the die. In the battle of Scully versus Feather, the best that Feather can hope for is +5 by a blue roll of the die. There is no need to roll the die, and Scully automatically wins. Here, the fleur doubles in size, and so Flower Lion, Ace of Thorns, is lost to Benny's army. In his battles with Trilo, Benny loses 2 members of his army, including Flower Lion, the Ace of Thorns. Benny's next roll takes him to the Cards of Destiny. Many destinies are possible. Benny draws one of the most useful, a monster shield that can be held and played at any time. A die roll of green takes Benny into the domain of Nightmare, which is also not aligned with any color. It has 2 attacks which come from cards of any clan. Benny uses his monster shield and is safe from attack for this turn. A roll of red takes Benny into the domain of Jawsy, the Ace of Teeth. It has 3 attacks which can come only from members of the Teeth clan. However, it is noted that there is a Jawsy in Benny's army, and Jawsy does not attack. Generally, an ace of any clan will not attack a player who holds that same ace in his army. The next roll of the die would take Benny into the domain of the Maltholians, where there would be 4 attacks of any color by the Greater Grand Maltholian, followed by 1 attack from the Lesser Grand Maltholian. Benny decides to refuse the die and set Feather, the one of Tentacles, free to advance 1 square instead. Good luck, little fellow. This takes him to Cards of Destiny, where perhaps he hopes to draw another Monster Shield card. But instead he draws a Factory Recall, which is like the Digital Monster Factory in reverse. Benny's cards are gathered, shuffled, and 1 card drawn at random, and that indicated number of cards dealt from Benny's hand. The die is then rolled, and that number or color of cards are returned to the deck. Here the card drawn is an 8, so 8 total cards are dealt. The die rolls green, so the 2 thorns included in these 8 are returned to the wild. Benny's journey continues through various domains with battles as described before. And then there are the Batworms. Batworms attack by controlling other monsters. A card is turned, and the number of the card becomes the number of attacks made by the Batworms, and can therefore be as many as 14 attacks. To survive, players must have at least 1 monster for each of these attacks. Here, a 7 card is turned, so there are 7 attacks, which are answered by monsters from Benny's army. In order to escape from Monsterland, a 2 or 3 roll of the dice or a 1 or 2 monster card surrender is required. The exact number is not necessary, but if a player does not have the numbers, he remains on the field and is subject to batworm attacks until he can escape. Here, a roll of 3 carries Benny to safety. Congratulations! You have escaped from Monsterland! For multiplayer use, an additional deck for each 2 players is recommended. Once players have escaped, if they are feeling contentious, they may fight each other with their armies by matching cards or staging battles. Monsterland, the game of getting attacked by monsters.